happy stuff. That's what I want. All day, all night. I'll deal with all the stress in another life. Happy thoughts, happy friends, happy songs, happy love. That's what I want. All day, all night. That's all I wanna think about. All day, all night. Just think about the happy stuff. When we were kids in the backyard, playing astronauts and rock stars, no one told us to stop it, called us unrealistic. Then suddenly you're 18, go to college for your plan B. What you want is too risky. Live for weekends and whiskey. We all got these big ideas. One day they're replaced with fear. How did we get here? Darling, don't quit your daydream. It's your life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. Why save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream? 31 waiting tables. She has the voice of an angel, out of money and power. She only sings in the shower. All these things we say we'll get to are shot down by the reasons not to. Darling, don't quit your daydream. It's your life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. Why save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream? So scared of failure that we fail to try. Turn it around before the finish line. Gotta fall for a minute before you can fly. So daydream, it's your life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. Or save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream. Or save it for sleep when you should be living
Welcome. Rise within motherhood. Ugh, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're watching this. Let me turn this music down. So, I don't know if you've heard that song. It's called Daydream by Lily Mayola. And I have the lyrics on my wall because they're just amazing. So, keep living your daydream. And speaking of that, okay, let me officially turn this music off. So hopefully my audio is better. I hope you can hear me good. So Rise Within Motherhood, this is all about like living our motherhood daydream. Living the motherhood that we dreamed of before we arrived here and we're like, oh my God, what is happening? This is amazing, but so overwhelming and just beautiful and so much joy and so much love that I never knew was possible. And on the same token, like, I'm more anxious than I've ever been. I feel like I can't think straight. I'm constantly doing. So really, this workshop today and the program I'm introducing comes out of my own experience. So I've written about it. My podcast this week, episode 5, I don't remember what it's called. Anyways, it's all about the in-depth of my story. I'm not going to tell that here. But please, if you're interested in hearing more like how I arrived to here, I'll give anecdotes along the way. But I really want to dive into our activities. So listen to that if you want to understand a little bit more how I've arrived here. So today is all about you, one, slowing down, taking some time we're going to go through an activity where you're deeply connecting with your body. And I do this with almost all of my clients I see for pelvic floor therapy, but it's a practice that all of us can benefit from. And then we're going to get inspired and energized and kind of finding that little flame inside you that you kind of forgot was there. Now, there's other flames inside you that you probably have not forgotten are there. I'm not saying you're just walking through life miserable. I don't think, for the most part, most of us or the moms that I tend to attract into my world, like, they find joy in their lives. But I feel like the best way to describe it is there's just this je ne sais quoi. Like, I just don't know what it is, but there's just this little part or piece, or that's what you feel it as, that just doesn't feel right. And it could be a longing for what was. It could be just like being caught up in the day-to-day. But we're going to take a moment to pause and try to find that. And then we're going to be talking about, I think, so much of the information out in the world about how to make your day easier and flow better as a mom is very like, very masculine, very do this or have this routine or pack the lunch like this or get this product, and throwing that out the window because there is no right way to go through your day. And I'm going to propose that all of us, I've been doing this for over a year now, start approaching our days with this new perspective and use of our feminine biological rhythms. And what I am talking about is cycle syncing. So I'm going to give you the first step of that today if you're not already. And then I'm going to share with you a bit about my new program. And we're going to finish with a guided visualization. There we go. Those are the words I wanted. A guided visualization to really start to explore and discover what is your soul-aligned motherhood at this point in time. So the whole purpose of this workshop is, and that the program I'm introducing, is to live authentically within your power, where your worth is no longer measured by the tasks of motherhood, but rather staying true to your soul and guiding your days from this deeper inner place, and then expanding that and sharing your gifts with the world. So I'm so thrilled you're here, or you're watching the recording, whatever it might be. Let's dive in. So I don't think all of you know who I am personally, so let me do a more formal introduction. I'm Hillary. On paper, I am a pelvic floor therapist, a women's health coach. I've worked as a birth and postpartum doula. I now have a podcast called Mama Wellness Weekly. But all of this, well, I've been a health coach and I've been an occupational therapist, and I've blended those for years, even before I was a mom. But all of those things and all of what my OT and my coaching has morphed into would not be what it is today if I were not a mom. And like, I've been working in the motherhood space, women's health space for 4 years now. I kind of made that transition like moments before the pandemic, but it all comes from a place of inspiration from becoming a mother myself and the challenges I faced, especially after having my second. And I've just been reading and studying and learning and living like all of it over these last 4 years. And I can say with so much conviction that I am simply not who I was 4 years ago. So a little bit more about me. I'm someone filled with a lot of passion just in my day-to-day life. I've always been what people would call as a health nut, but I say I'm more of a balanced health nut. I don't do anything to any great extremes, but I've been interested and into health for as long as I can remember. I always tell the story as a child. I would get, like most kids get yelled at for like going in the cookie jar, right? I would get scolded for eating all the strawberries or eating all the oranges, or my mom would jokingly call me her fruit face because I would just devour fruit. And so I don't know, that kind of demonstrates it. So I love surfing. I live in Hawaii. I love to cook. I love to write and just moving my body, dancing, singing. I don't do those in public very often. And my best ideas definitely emerge from being out in nature, in the ocean, or a coffee shop. I love myself a good coffee shop. Okay, so if you're watching the recording or you're here live, I did share, let me stop sharing for a moment. I did share a workbook with you, and I just want to do a little homework around that, or not homework, just housekeeping. So if you received it in an email, hi Irene, received it in an email, it is the fillable version, but you need to open the PDF on your desktop for it to be fillable. So, and what I can drop in the link here is just so you can view it. So the first couple pages, hold on, let me get the link. The first couple pages, I'm not going to like go through in the workshop. They're more for you and kind of diving deeper later on if you're interested. Okay, hang on. It's so funny. Here we go. So that's if you want to see the workbook. It's not fillable in the Google. You just got to view it. But the fillable one will come in an email. Okay. And on that, I don't know, I have a segment of my laptop that the mouse doesn't work. Need to get that fixed. Okay, so the first couple of pages, just a welcome. You'll see table of contents, and oh my gosh, where am I? Sorry, getting like lost in all these layers here. Here we go. Let's just share this. Okay, so you can see it here. And then who I am today, this is for you to just kind of base off of this RISE model. So R is restore, I is ignite, S is support, and E is expand. Just kind of getting a sense of like where you're at in that model in each of those areas. Now, these are not sequential, like you don't have to move in through them in sequential order. When I've worked with my clients in the past through this, like we often spend time more in two areas than two other areas, but it's different for everyone. So that's just like where am I in this kind of model, and just getting kind of an idea as you read through the options, you know, how other people might rate. And then this next one, I encourage you to later on take some time when you have a deeper understanding, because each activity we're going to do today is based off of each of these 4 elements. And just defining it more for yourself, because I don't think any of us can define exactly what, like, no one person can define for you what rising within motherhood means or what a soul aligned motherhood means. And it also continually evolves and changes. So, we are going to jump in. Let me go over, okay, and talking a bit about the mother. This is a theme I have a lot with my clients. Let me go into, I feel like I'm getting lost of what you guys are viewing, but here we go. The mother role is so all encompassing when we become moms. It has this, we have all these roles, like, like our job, we're a wife, we're a partner, we're a daughter, we're a friend, we're a runner, whatever it might be. We have all these roles and hats we wear, but when we become a mother, that hat is really big. And it makes these other hats a little bit smaller, or the energy we can devote to those. It also fuzzes because it's so giant. And even just looking at, like, I'm trying to describe here, like, what is mother and what is soul? And there's a lot of words around mother and soul. We all may define soul differently, but it's not as necessarily as complex. I think it's more abstract because we live mother. Soul is more abstract. But my point being, mother is so complex, it's all encompassing, and it really can squash a lot of what we know to be ourselves or fuzz that out. So some of the words I put on here, like mother is all about nurturing, caring. It's that unconditional love. It's got life-giving qualities. It's the nurturer in you. It's that desire to protect that emerges. It's the root of fertility creation. It's a place of wisdom and guidance. And your place of receptivity, physically, emotionally, like we're there, we're receiving as mothers. But when we receive, we also give so much within it. And what I experienced and what I noticed after a while, and I couldn't put any words to it for quite some time, but was this role of mother became so big that I was like, who am I? Like, I feel like I'm not connected to, like, me the way I was before. And I know I'm not the same as who I was before because so much has happened and there's been so much growth in my being in becoming a mother. And soul is our identity. It's our consciousness. And I like the idea that it's our morality. It's that innermost essence of our true self. And that was the first phrase that came back to me was, I don't feel like I'm my true self. And I don't really know what that looks like anymore. And it's been through a journey of a lot of connecting with my body, in my new body, my changed body, and a lot of soul level work, like understanding where I sit in this role as mother. And as I talk to other moms and clients about this, I think it's a common feeling. I think we all describe it in different ways, but it's a common feeling of like, who am I now? And we don't have a lot of time to think about it. Like these are like big level, like I need to clear my mind, clear my space to figure out. And so many of us just do not have that luxury at all. So, okay, next slide. What is my next slide? Here we go. Rise is the model I've designed to help guide mothers through the process of rediscovering that soul within them. Now, your soul is not a role that you have. It is like who you are. But the big role of mother starts squashing that. So the RISE model, what I found is, and with my professional background, is there's a lot around restoring. This is the physical components. Like no matter how your child came into this world or into your world, physically, you're changed. And we feel, in my work as a pelvic floor therapist, I've seen so many women have these blind spots or be very disconnected with their body for a variety of reasons. And I think as long as we're not really connected to our body and loving it as best we can, that's a journey for many women. It's hard to really know yourself. So I always incorporate some physical components. And then the I Ignite is all about firing up that passion. Oh, I have someone in the waiting room. Hold on. Here we go. The I is all about firing up that passion within you, and I give this a bit of a caveat because it's not about the passions for what you do with your children, but like the things that if you didn't have children or they weren't around or you had a complete day to yourself, what you would do to light up your soul and just feel like, oh, I love life right now. And it could be with your children. So I've had this debate. So I'm the kind of mom that I need some passions, some things that really light me up, like doing this kind of thing lights me up, but it's not with my kids. Now, there are moms I've worked with who very much, it's shifting how they approach what they're doing with their children. And then they start to feel more lit up, but they're like, I can't imagine not having my children there. And that's beautiful. Support. What mom doesn't need? Support. Oh my gosh, support. If we don't have this, life is crumbling around us. So this is all about, your routines and your habits and the rhythms of your day. But over time, in working with women and moms in this, the support has very much also become learning about your own feminine rhythms, we'll get into it later, but your infradian cycle. So the circadian rhythm versus the infradian. So infradian is much more not by day and night, but more by the moon phases. And when we link those and sync those in together, life becomes so much easier and makes so much more sense. And so I do a lot of support in the S around that, but it also is just those, optimizing your day-to-day routines. And then expand. So once we are restored or at a place where we're feeling good with our body, we have passion, we feel lit up by life again and can routinely go there. And then we have this support, we have this rhythm and this, flexible structure that we draw into get us out in the world when we're supposed to be. That's when we can start really expanding. And that's the going outside of yourself. R, I, and S are very within. E is expansion outward. And so that is just showing up as a better mom, or showing up as this mom that you dreamed of, or it's, showing up better in your job, feeling more lit up and aligned and motivated by what you're doing in your work in the world. Or it can be, getting out there and just meeting people again, building relationships, having social connection. So it looks very different. Expand looks very different for different people, and it's about your goals. So I'm going to be guiding you through my favorite, probably beginner activity for each of these elements of this model today. So let's dive in. The first one, of course, is going to be physical. It's R. It's all about your 3 diaphragms. You might be like, 3 diaphragms? Well, you can see in the picture here. Throat, your breathing diaphragm, and your pelvic floor. And most people view their diaphragm as like the one where we breathe, right here, right here, where we're breathing. It's so much more than that. We have these three diaphragmatic layers. So a diaphragm is basically a muscular structures that move with movement or pressure. Pressure is probably a better way to describe it. So in our throat, I want you to take a swallow, or you can even, if you have like a sip of something, just swallow. And to swallow, you feel the movement in your back of your throat, right? It's a diaphragm. Our breathing diaphragm is the one we're all familiar with, that dome-shaped muscle. As we inhale, it lowers, and as we exhale, it helps compress our lungs and eliminate air from our body. And then the diaphragm that is near to dear in my heart, the pelvic diaphragm. And if you look, it's a pelvic bowl. It's called the pelvic bowl for a reason. It truly is like, it's not really a hammock. I think that's a little too simplified, but it's this bowl-shaped structure, and it moves with the pressures within our body when it is optimal. And all of these three diaphragms influence each other. So we're going to do a somatic movement experience. And somatic movement experience is, I feel like somatics have really come up in our vernacular. We're hearing this word a lot. I've used this kind of practice for years, and I've used it in different ways, but just to help people, even before I was in women's health, just connect more deeply with their body. It's also a great way to, it's almost like a meditation. And the beautiful thing about it is there's no right or wrong way to do it. The benefits that you find from doing somatics, and you can do, this is just a small way, this is just a somatic movement experience based off your three diaphragms, but you can do it with any part of your body. Like, you can do it with your hand, you can do it with your foot, you can do it with your face, you can do it with your arm, you can do it anywhere. But it improves your mind-body connection. It improves awareness of what I call the sleepy areas. And moms tend to have sleepy areas, especially in these diaphragms after birth. It also improves because when you have more awareness to an area of your body, you can move that area of your body better. Like, you're aware of what it's doing when before you were not even aware what it was doing. And it's a very relaxing process. You just, I encourage you to close your eyes, because they're really what I'm going to do. And we can't see our diaphragms really well either. That's why I picked them. But what I do and how I move and how I explore my own body isn't necessarily the same, and there's no wrong way to move. So I'm going to stop the share because we don't need to be looking at the screen. And I need to take off my glasses for this. Okay. So I want you to settle into your space. You can stay sitting, or I wouldn't lay down. You might want to stand up. But just pausing with a few deep breaths to begin. And as you breathe in deeply, I want you to observe what moves in your body. And of course, we're trying to place our focus on those three diaphragms. So as you breathe in, do you feel anything in your throat change or move? And as you exhale, is there any change? And then at your middle diaphragm, as you breathe in, what do you feel? Does it move? Does it expand? Does it feel stiff? And as you exhale, does it compress down and in, or does it stay pretty still? And then down at your pelvic diaphragm. Now we're going to come back in more depth to each of these. But as you breathe in, does it move? Does it expand? Can you feel more pressure or space? And then as you exhale, does it change? And it's okay if you're not feeling anything right now. So let's start. We're going to start at the top at your neck. And you can look at me for a moment, but I do think it's helpful to place your hands. And continuing to take some deep breaths. If you have a drier mouth, you probably want to grab a sip of water because you're going to want to swallow. But just breathing, exhaling, swallowing, and tuning into the little movements that happen. Does your jaw seem to soften or tighten during any of that inhale-exhale pattern? And if you notice that it's really soft, can you tighten it? Or if you notice that it's really tight, can you soften it? We're trying to explore and find contrast and change. You can also, let's open our mouth really wide. Inhale, exhale with your mouth open, big. Feel it opening, that diaphragm just lifted. And exhale, kind of relaxed back down. Now do that with your mouth closed. And exhaling. Not as much movement. Now placing your fingers at your jaw, that jaw point outside, and observing what changes with mouth gentle, not open wide, but doesn't have to be closed. Inhaling and exhaling. And I want you to try to observe the softening that happens with the exhale. Beautiful. Now try that again, keeping fingers at your jaw with your mouth open. Doesn't have to be super wide, but open more. And again. Beautiful. And now taking, if you have a sip of something, trying to take a sip, but putting the liquid in your mouth. I'm not going to be able to talk once I do this. Put the liquid in your mouth. Hold it there. Swish it around. And then I want you to try to swallow as slow as you can, but really all your attention is on that back of your throat. And it rises and then it closes as you swallow. I'm sorry, reverse that. It closes and then it opens as you swallow. I can't do it and talk at the same time. And feeling that rise and fall. So the pressures and tensions we hold in this area influence our breath and our pelvic floor. So through that practice, thinking right now and noting, how were you able to find the softness? And how were you able to find the tension? Because when we have the softness in our jaw, and this is the one area I think we can most easily access, and we focus here or make an intention to just try to soften it and open it, everything below it is influenced by that. So now let's come down, and I'm going to lower my screen just so you can kind of see my ribs. And you're going to bring your hands around your body and just starting to inhale and exhale. And inhaling and As you inhale, I encourage you to try to expand and broaden and grow in that space, becoming as big as you can. And then exhaling, we become small. Now, if you're noticing that you feel really caught up here in your chest, just give it some time. Just keep feeling into and breathing into your bra strap or your hands. I want you to visualize in your mind this dome-shaped muscle. So as we inhale, it comes down to make space for those big growing lungs. And as it exhales, I want you to imagine in your mind's eye, your diaphragm doing this. It pushes up, it contracts up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. So you can imagine your big lungs expanding and causing that diaphragm to descend. And exhale, they're expelling the air, they get softer, and the diaphragm supports that pressure by coming up against them. And inhale and exhale. And now we're going to get a little more playful with this. So I want you to try to just change your body position. So I'm just going to tilt to one side. So this side is more compressed and this side is more open. And now I'm going to take some deep breaths and just feel what I feel. I feel more air going over here, more expansion. But overall, it's more challenging. Now I'm going to shift in the opposite and feeling the other side. So eyes, focus, all your focus on what is happening right within your diaphragm. A visual mental picture or the sensations you feel. Okay, now I'm gonna arch and open my front. So I'm arching my back and I'm gonna breathe again into this space. Just observing what's different about the different positions. One space feels better or easier than the other. And now I'm gonna slump forward and inhaling. I might feel this more in my back. And again. So we just went through sitting straight, leaning laterally, leaning back, and leaning forward. And one position may have felt yummier or more expansive or more relaxing than others. So for me, I find it really nice sometimes to lean back. I feel like I can really stretch. I also love leaning with opening my right side because my right side's really tight, and so it feels like, oh, so yummy and good. So I want you to take note or write down where you felt the best or most easeful, or what felt like your body wanted more. What space, what, and you can experiment with this in all positions, on all fours, laying down, twisting. But I want to go to the pelvic bowl. So the pelvic bowl, there's nothing I can really show you with this beyond my trusty pelvic model. But of course, so in here you're seeing, this is the pelvic bowl. These are the muscles that create the pelvic diaphragm. Okay, and so they, just like that picture in your workbook, what the breathing diaphragm does, so should, doesn't mean it always is, the pelvic diaphragm. So as we inhale, our breathing diaphragm lowers to make space for our lungs. So should our pelvic diaphragm, but it doesn't always. Sometimes it is rigid, it's tight, and it doesn't move. That's okay. That can change. Being aware of that is the key. And then as we exhale, our pelvic diaphragm should rise a bit as well. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you for a minute how I set this up, but I'm not going to keep the camera on me because you'll be staring at my crotch. So if you would just have a chair, all you need to do is I generally will just sit like on the corner. Okay, so you just want more input through your pelvic floor. Another thing that can work, hang on a second, is a yoga brick. Again, you could just sit regular in a chair and you're just on a yoga brick. Okay, now if none of that is available to you at this moment, that is fine. But you're gonna, because the pelvic diaphragm, again, is one of those often fuzzy, cloudy spots. The more we have input into that area, the better you're going to perceive something. Okay, and if as I am talking, you're like, I'm not feeling anything, I encourage you to just come back to this because it's moving, something is happening, even if it's just these really subtle pressure shifts. Okay, so getting settled, hopefully you had a moment to find your space, and we're going to go back to that breath. And after we take a couple breaths, let's pause and really breathe in. Your focus of your breath, again, is low in your body, down by the pelvic floor. Exhaling. Inhaling. And what you're taking note of, two things I want you to be doing. One, just keep your attention there. And two, becoming really keen in your sensory observation. So probably your touch sense or pressure sense of things softening or tightening as you inhale and exhale. Now for a little bit more proprioceptive input to like, where is this pelvic bowl? I want you to put your hands on your hips and have your fingers on these sticky outie bones. So maybe let's place the heel of your hand there. And then I want your fingers coming down onto your pubic bone, or it could be just above, that's okay. But that bony structure is helpful. Okay, so just giving you, that's like the front of your bowl. And now I want you to just kind of swaying around like you're rocking your bowl. Okay, so you're rocking it left, you're rocking it right. You're just playing with that bowl like there's a marble in it and you're trying to get it to reach all the sides. You got to sway back. So you could also have a hand in the front and a hand in the back, and you're just swaying. So we're trying to map the idea of this bowl, which is really abstract. And changing positions, not worrying about your breath right now, letting the breath go. Okay, so the width of your bowl, that bottom part, are your sit bones that you might be feeling rolling over. The front of your bowl is your pubic bone. The back of your bowl is your sacrum and your tailbone. Okay, so the bowl, it comes up pretty high and it has a really narrow at the bottom. It's not really wide at the bottom. It's very much more like a V than a U or an O. Okay. All right. So once you've rocked and you kind of have better in your mind's eye what this looks like, I want you to just settle in to where you feel like that marble is perfectly balanced at the bottom of the bowl. And that would anatomically be right about above the space between your vaginal opening and your anus, so your perineum. Okay, so let the marble settle there, and we're going to return to the breath. And as you inhale, you're starting to try to feel for a sensation that that marble is going lower towards the floor or dropping down. And as you exhale, that the floor is coming up just slightly. So like on my arm, let's get a gushy part of my arm. Like the amount of movement is like so little. It's not big. Okay, it's just very subtle, and it really is a pressure variation rather than a movement. Okay, so closing your eyes, tuning in within your own space, breathing in. The marble lowers towards the floor. Breathing out, it rises. Inhaling, coming down. Exhaling, rise. Inhaling, coming down. Opening, widening. Exhaling, rising. A little bit more tension on the rise. And as we inhale again, we lower and we soften downward. And as we exhale, there's this like tension building, and it comes back up. And inhaling, allowing, letting go, releasing. And exhaling, rising and coming to hold and support. No Kegels here, no active contractions. Tuning into the pressure variation. Inhaling, couple more. Exhaling, rising. Inhaling, allowing for that pressure increase in your body to have more space to go into. Exhaling, the pressure is decreasing, so we need to come up and support it. Inhaling, allowing space for that increased pressure. Exhaling, rising, and then let it go. And I want you again to just come back to rolling that marble around the pelvic bowl and trying to get it as high up, so big movements in that system, in that bowl. And then changing the directions or trying diagonals. Beautiful. The other purpose of this is to kind of shake away any tension that built up through doing that practice. Beautiful. And coming back to the space. And now, just to finish, I'm going to come off my brick. I'm going to stay there forever. And having a swallow and just observing, like, are you more aware of tension in your jaw or your throat or your chest? Then taking a nice big inhale, and are you aware of the pressure change, the rise and the fall, or the expansion of your ribs and contraction? Is there more keen awareness to that now? And then finally, I think the biggest test is like, are you more aware of this within your tissues, within your body, of that sense of this bottom bowl? And was it really tense and tight? Was it hard to rock that marble around? Was it hard to allow that marble to rise and fall? Or was it easy? Did that feel easeful to you? All right, beautiful. So write down or take note of where the tensions were. As I've gone through this with clients, the most complex is the pelvic bowl. And so if you really struggled with that part, I would encourage you to instead spend time on your jaw, relaxing, swallowing, like opening your throat and doing things that relax the jaw. And I would also encourage you to work on breath. These are much more, these top two diaphragms are so much more tangible than the pelvic diaphragm. And once you feel like, oh, I really can like intentionally increase tension and completely melt it away in both of those, the throat and the diaphragm, the breathing diaphragms. Oh my God, I'm saying that word a million times. Then you start focusing and going back to that practice we just did with the pelvic diaphragm. But having more fluid motion, think flowy, I can relax, I can become strong and powerful, I can relax and be easeful, I can become strong and powerful. In all three of these places is improving your pelvic health, your breath, and your connectedness to your body again. Okay, let's keep going. We're gonna go into ignite. Okay, let me share the screen. Hold on a second. Okay, nope, not that one, here. So this is where if you have access to the workshop, not the workshop, the workbook. Oops, what is happening here? Sorry, every time I share, it's always a little bumpy. Okay. This is helpful. And it has, so I was saying earlier, if you got the email and downloaded, not the Google link, but the actual PDF, it's fillable. But if not, just grab a piece of paper because I am going to guide you through an igniting, finding that passion, experiential journaling. So before we dive in, let me set the stage for this. Ignite within the RISE model is all about passion and expressing and doing things. So occupational therapists are all about activity that brings us health. So this activity is accessing our imagination and ideally areas within ourselves that have not been given any attention in a while to find what is secretly inside us that really wants to ignite. And the goal of this that I have for you is you start to be like, oh my goodness, I need to start doing this thing again. Okay, so I'm gonna try to play some music. Within the journal, we're gonna start with intention setting, and I'll let me do my music thing first. I always like journaling with a little background music. Oops. Okay. Nope, not that one. Okay. I'm just hoping this doesn't mess up my audio. Can you hear that at all? I don't know. Perhaps we will I'll pause for a second. Okay, I'm gonna dive in. So, intention. I want you to ask and ask for support from somewhere beyond your consciousness. So this could just be asking your subconscious to come up and talk to you. It could be God, source, spirit, guardian angel, whatever you want it to be. But I want you to write down an intention. Please support me in finding and renewing passion within my life, something that will light me up. And I know that you're there to support me and guide me to discovering what exactly that is. Now, that's just an example. I want you to write for you. and take a minute to set that intention. I'm going to stop share. Okay. So once you have that intention down, we're using a scripting method for journaling. Can you hear me okay, Brooke? You want to just give me a thumbs up? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so scripting is where I don't want you thinking too much. I want you just going with, you just set the intention for the support from this thing outside your consciousness, whatever place that is. And for you to start writing out the ideal scenario around you engaging in this thing. So I'll start you off with an example, and then I'm going to be quiet for a little bit. So it might be like, I wake up and my family has packed my bag to send me off for a day of whatever. And then you're going through like how your family supported you in doing this and is so excited for you to do this thing and engage in it. And you're going to write about what it is with as much detail as you can. But the whole time, I want you to write in the present tense. So what is happening as you go through that day? Okay, so go ahead. I'm going to be quiet. Just going to see what comes out. It's going to feel awkward for the first minute or two. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to just be writing. And you're imagining engaging in doing this thing that is just lighting up your soul and getting as detailed as you can. Okay? And if you're feeling stuck, you can write in the chat a question if you have. Feeling good? Okay, so once you have kind of wrote out that scenario and like what happened and how it looks and how it feels, I want you to think about what positive things start coming into your life and your everyday experiences because of you engaging in this thing that lights you up. So what are the positive outcomes of you doing this thing? Whether it's every day, it's once a week, it's once a month, it's once a year, it doesn't matter, but that you are coming back to it. Okay, so take a minute to write down all the treasures that arrive because you've reignited this passion in your life. Okay, and lastly, just a sentence of gratitude for that higher source for inspiring you and bringing to you whatever it was that came up. So, simple sentence of gratitude. Okay, beautiful. So this is a style of journaling that I love. It's scripting. And scripting follows that general recipe of setting an intention, calling in some higher outside of your consciousness. So sometimes it's just like, I want to bring up from deeper in my subconscious something, or I might be whoever, whatever it is, but asking them to support you and then just writing. And it's great when you're like wanting to bring something fresh and new into your life or needing to work through something challenging that you don't know. You're like, I don't know what to do about this, and you have no clue. This is a great way. And then you write, okay, you often will be able to sort it out or be able to come up with this like beauty. You're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. If this were to happen, all of these other things would happen. So writing about like building that argument to like do what you're doing, because all these beautiful outcomes will come, or that challenging situation will resolve, and then all these beautiful things will happen. And then finally you end with gratitude. Okay, so let me share screen again. Okay, so let's go into support. So as I've already kind of mentioned, support, I'm not going to talk about like the best way to like structure your day or anything like that right now, but rather finding your power through cycle syncing. So I know some of you may have heard of cycle syncing. Some of you may have already do this, or this may be the first time you've heard of this, but basically, all of your routines are influenced by all of the way we work in the world is influenced by the sun cycle, light and dark, but also the moon cycle. So the sun cycle, light and dark, is the circadian rhythm, and that's really how our world is set up. Because men only follow this circadian rhythm, but women and our menstrual cycle and our it's otherwise sometimes called your infradian rhythm, is per the moon cycle. And as we all know, the moon cycle is 28 days, and the average menstrual cycle is the same. So when we start approaching how we structure our days using a blend of both of these, I don't think we can just use our menstrual cycle. Like, we wouldn't operate very well in the world. And most of us are just using the circadian rhythm, but there's times of the month or things about it that just like we don't know why we can't do things, or it feels so yucky. And this often is a reason, because we're not honoring this other rhythm within our body. So the first step to this is, it's simple. I mean, it's knowing your cycle. And so many women that I've worked with really do not know their cycle. Before I get there, here's a little contrast. And in the workbook, there's a little chart, compare and contrast. So the circadian rhythm is 24 hours. It's all the male hormones fluctuate within this 24-hour cycle. Like, they all have a cycle within 24 hours. There's gender neutral hormones like melatonin and dozens of others that also follow this cycle. It's not, women's hormones only go off an infradian rhythm. That's not true. It relates to core temperature, more so in men than women. Influences metabolism, immune response, and mood. And really, our modern culture revolves around this rhythm. Like, everything is set up perfectly for this rhythm. The infradian, on the other hand, is linked to your menstrual cycle. Men do not have this. They do not link to this rhythm at all. And it's linked to the moon cycle. So it influences our hormonal, so estrogen, progesterone being like the two most commonly known, but also like luteinizing hormone and others. It impacts significantly, and I think any of you listening to this would be like, yeah, our mood fluctuates over the course of a month. Energy, cognitive function, so the ways we use our brain changes through the month, like the best way. So we are the most analytical and able to do that at different times of the month, and we are the most creative at other times of the month. Whereas men are most creative at certain times in the day, and most analytical at certain times in the day, and most social at certain times in the day. Those things are very different between men and women. Women are more social at certain times of the month. So there absolutely can be weeks where you're like, I don't want to see anyone. And you're like, what's wrong with me? I was so social butterfly last week. Well, that's your rhythm. That's your infradian rhythm trying to speak up. I really support moms in honoring this more. And even if you're only honoring it by 5% of what you do, is you can notice massive changes. So in the workbook, I have, how to start tracking. If you don't really know what your cycle is, well, there's 4 phases. Their menstrual is the bleed. There's your follicular, your ovulatory, and your luteal phase. So I had a little hesitation there, because I now view the beginning of my cycle, except when I have to report the first day of my period to a medical provider, in my brain, the beginning of my cycle is my follicular phase. The reason for that is like the starting over. The menstrual cycle, I think it makes so much more logical sense to think of like that's a clearing out of the old, of what happened through the prior 3 cycles. So how is that the beginning? I don't know. I think like you throw out the things at the end. So follicular phase, this is the day after your bleed stops. Your ovulatory phase begins. This is when your egg is released and you're most fertile. Is when, if you're tracking your cycle, you have an increase in body temperature. Just a little bit, but it's predictable. And if you're tracking your body temperature, you'll notice it. And then your luteal is on that kind of decline towards your menstruation, where your energy is dropping. And this usually, for most women, is the longest phase. And the menstrual cycle, most everyone is familiar with, is when you bleed. So when we're tuning into our cycle better, I have in the workbook, here, let me just go like this. So in the workbook, what I placed in is a calendar, and you can fill this in, or you can print it, or you can literally like just put a calendar somewhere in your house. But the things you want to be tracking or keeping track of, and ideally you're doing this for 3 months, and that's usually the duration where I'm working with women, for 3 months. And so when they come to me already tracking, we can dive in quicker. Otherwise, we need to kind of watch and see your rhythms over that first month, which is totally fine. But I encourage you to start tracking. So we want to know your morning body temperature. So this is taking your temperature, can be just a simple digital thermometer, before you get up in the morning. So before you sit up, which is the hard thing. This is something I do regularly, but I miss days. It's okay if you miss days. You're trying to get like 75-80% of the time. And what you're really looking for is, if you're linked with like a health app, I use Natural Cycles. It will start, you're getting plugged into an algorithm then based off of many women putting in their information. Now, if you're not comfortable with that, you don't need to do that. You can track it on your own. And over time, you'll see that you have this distinct little bump up in your temperature right around ovulation. And you can also use other tests that I'm just going to keep it as simple as I can for today. So AM body temperature is the number one thing. So you're writing the temperature in each day. Also your mood, just like high, low, or neutral, like this is kind of an average day, or like I was on cloud 9 today. I think it's really helpful to note those. As I noted those, I see the bump around ovulation. I'm generally like so happy, and end of the follicular phase, and then towards the last 4 or 5 days before menstruation, like those are my like frowny face days, like low mood. And it is validating, because you're no longer like, why am I snapping at my kids so much today? You're like, instead, now I'm like, oh, I'm in the end of my luteal phase, and these are my hard days. So instead of me being so like shorter with people around me, I'm like, oh, okay, you're going to be grumpier today, Hillary. So just give yourself more time, more grace, just be more compassionate to yourself today, because it's going to be a harder day. And I can prepare for that, and then I show up better. So this is one of the beautiful things I've noticed about this. You also wanting to track physical symptoms like breast tenderness, cramps, if you have really heavy bleeding, or you have clots or spotting, whatever it might be, that's informing. And those are symptoms that then you can dive into lots of different resources of what does this mean and what can I do about it from a holistic approach, not birth control. Diet, how you're moving, and just holistic alternative strategies. I incorporate a lot of recommendations around herbs, also a big advocate of yoni steaming to relieve a lot of these symptoms, and in combination with a woman cycle syncing and using those, you see the benefits. Because they're using those tools at specific moments in their cycle, rather than just randomly like, oh, I'm going to go for a yoni steam, but it's like not the time of the month that you really need it. And lastly, like appetite or cravings is also good. That's something that I tuned into more, and a lot of women tune into more, how their appetite changes through the month. And if we're honoring our natural appetite and feeding ourselves to that appetite, weight loss or weight management or maintaining a weight that you want actually becomes more easeful than following strict diet routines. You're tuning into your natural routine. And when we do that, our body becomes more in equilibrium, more homeostasis, balance, and everything starts to function better. So I'm not going to go, I could talk about cycle syncing for hours and days. I'm going to pause there, but I encourage you to use this or use any form of a chart or an app to start tracking your cycle and just starting there, not making any other changes except maybe taking your temperature in the morning. Okay, let me bring this up again. All right. So last activity is going to be the visualization of your soul-aligned motherhood. But before I get there, I just am going to spend like 5 minutes talking about my program, Soul-Aligned Motherhood. It is a 12-week coaching program. Let me go to, and it's all about connecting, like I was talking at the beginning, to this je ne sais quoi of motherhood. Like, I love being a mom, but there's just something missing, and I feel like I'm not completely myself. And you've done all the things, you've been checked and cleared, you don't have postpartum depression, don't have postpartum anxiety, or you've managed those things and you move beyond. Your kids are a little bit older, like you're not with the newborn at home, that's going to throw you off, but that just takes time. You're at a phase where you're just like, why can I not wake up bright and filled with energy and peace and optimism and faith and flow? Like, I'm waking up just dreading my day. You just are wondering, kind of like, where did the old you go? So for me, it was this idea of like, where did the chill in myself go? And that was a sign for me, like I was not soul aligned. I could not chill. But for you, it might be, where's my focus? Or where's that passion I had? Or where's that, I was so multifaceted before. And it's still in you, but that footprint of motherhood gets really big and it can be hard to see. And through this program, it's exploring and finding that again, using tangible activities like the somatics, like the cycle syncing, like the getting out there and doing things that light you up. So if you're ready to say goodbye to like the one foot in front of the other kind of humdrum or like, ooh, motherhood, and really want to find a new dimension, feel transformed within how you feel as a mother and in yourself and in your life, this is for you. Let me share some specifics. So it is, let's go here. It's one-on-one coaching. So we'll have 10 1-hour private coaching sessions. There's also a growing community, a WhatsApp community, and we are doing 2. So there's 2 weeks in the 3 months where we don't meet one-on-one. Time for you to just kind of catch up. I think all moms need a breather from time to time. Like 12 weeks straight is crazy. But on those weeks, I hold an integration session, which varies. I kind of see what I think the group or the people I'm currently coaching are needing more of, and we do deeper dive into that. So previously, it's been cycle syncing, and we go deeper into it. There's a learning platform. So this is brand new, and this is the element that I am most excited about, because for years I've given clients resources and handouts, and I make this person this handout or this person this video, And now I'm pulling them together, and the ones that I recently gave out, or I'm giving out as this program goes, and putting them on this learning platform. So often they're videos, and sometimes they're PDFs that support and help your learning go deeper. So that is a growing platform, and that's the thing that you'll just have access to forever, and it will keep growing and expanding. We're going to have a 45-minute breathwork session with a dear friend of mine, Sage King, a breathwork practitioner. And we're going to do this earlier in the program, because it's a great way. Breathwork is just a phenomenal way of clearing out stagnation in our system and feeling fresh and new and inspired. And that's that energy that I think is ideal for this program. I'll be giving you discount codes for, I mentioned natural cycles already. That's what I use for my cycle syncing, but also Restore Your Core. So Restore Your Core, I'm a trained practitioner in Restore Your Core. It is the best postpartum or mom problem areas: hips, stomach, back, shoulders, chest, this whole trunk area program. And it's not 12 weeks. It's actually one you can just keep going back to. Absolutely amazing. And I often will work with my pelvic floor clients while they're going through that program and just supporting them privately. So you'll have a discount to that. And I'm adding in, this is new, I didn't do this spring, but specifically putting on my pelvic floor therapist hat for 2 virtual pelvic floor therapy sessions with myself for us to dive into more specifics. And this is where I'm really directing you and telling you, like, this is what I see in your body and this is what you need to do about it. And that allows our coaching sessions to really be more about you expanding and talking through challenges, and we don't have to get into these like exercise specifics there that can take a lot of time but aren't really moving your needle forward as much as you figuring out ways to become more soul aligned. So I decided to kind of tease that out even more specifically. So that is Soul Aligned Motherhood, and it's a rolling program. I'm always enrolling moms, but when I do a special like this, of course, there's going to be a little bit of a deal. So until Sunday is early bird special, where I will, you can enroll for $14.44 for 3 payments. As of Monday, the price will jump up $400 and it'll be $18.88 or 3 payments of $707. And then normally, if I'm not actively enrolling, but it's just kind of like rolling enrollment, this program is valued. There's so much in here, and there's so much potential for growth and becoming more centered within yourself and just feeling like you've just gone to the next level in your experience of motherhood. But normally it's just shy of $3,000. So if you're interested at all, please consider hopping in during this early bird special. Okay, enough of that. Let's get to the last activity. I don't know why this isn't going. It's just stopping the video. Why is my last slide? What do I need? This is funny. Sorry, I don't know why. Okay, we'll just exit and then go. Here we go. And in fact, I'm just gonna stop share, because this is a visualization for connecting to what you view as that soul-aligned motherhood. So soul-aligned motherhood can only be defined by you. And I returned to this visualization. I actually recorded myself so almost a year ago doing this visualization. I come back to it like every 3 months, because the half-life of what we're experiencing motherhood is very short. Things are changing so rapidly that I think we need to come back to, like, okay, now what is soul aligned for me in this moment or in this time period? So like at the beginning of summer, I did this meditation for myself and came up, and it provides for you, the goal of it is to provide for you some key elements. And that's what I have in the workbook for this page is, at the end, you want to jot down those key elements of that soul aligned motherhood, of like, what are the tangible things that are happening that you then are going to try to take intentional action and have support around you or working through this RISE method to achieve. Okay, so I'm going to play a little background music. I want you to get comfortable, settling in. And closing down your eyes. And just feeling into your body, moving around a little, just getting comfortable. And then coming to your breath. Inhaling deep. Inhale through your nose. And long exhale through your mouth. And I want you to think about where you're at today in your motherhood experience. What are the things that feel so great, so wonderful? And then what are the areas that feel challenging or frictiony or irritating or frustrating? And now I want you to just, in your mind, wrap up those challenges in like a little box and just put it away on a shelf, not to be forgotten, but just to be put to the side for a moment. And with those things that are going really well, and help you feel just so alive and so good and like I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm on the right path. And I want you to take those and maybe like imagine bundling them together like they're a bouquet of flowers and putting them in this most beautiful vase and setting it in the middle of the table and admiring them. And then I want you to imagine yourself going to bed. It's a quiet night, and you laying down, snuggling in, all comfortable. And you fall asleep so easily. And as you awake the next morning, you are now 3 months into the future. I want you to open your eyes. Now you can take this in one of two paths. You can keep it very real, like waking up in your own space, or you can make it imaginary, like the most beautiful, perfect room that you could wake up in. Neither way is better than the other. But as you wake up, you are in a dream world of motherhood. So you're opening your eyes and you're stretching, you're starting to feel into your body, and I want you to take note of how it feels. Remember, we're leaving the challenges to the side and we're staying in this ideal dream world. And I want you to open your eyes and sitting up and feeling into your body. You stand up. You look out the window. What is on your mind? How are you thinking about the day to come? How's your mood? How's your energy? You're walking in and you see your children. What are they doing? How do they greet you? Now you're going through your day, your usual routine, but everything just feels easier. And what is helping it feel easier? You have time to dive into some activities that just light your soul up. What are those? You're spending more time in your day doing something, or maybe some place. What is that? Observe your energy, how it maybe rises and falls through the day. And then you're sitting down at dinner. And who's with you? Who's around you? And what are you talking about? What are you sharing with your family? Maybe you have a jar in the middle of the table of where you all place gratitudes. And what are you feeling so grateful for in that day? And then you're off to bed, falling asleep. And as you wake up the next morning, you're back here today. And you walk out and you look at the bouquet you put together of all those positive, beautiful things. And then you go over to the shelf and you open that box of the challenges. And they're still in there. But now, in yourself, you have a new set. We're going to call them tools, but there could be ideas or strategies or things that you do that they're in one hand. And because they're in that one hand, those challenges in that box have decreased in size or intensity. And you bring them to your heart and you say something loving and kind to yourself. With a knowing that what you just said is absolutely true and within your capacity as a creative, resourceful, and whole mother, woman, being. And when you're ready, opening your eyes and coming back to this space. Beautiful. I'm gonna end there, but take a moment to write down what the key elements of that day were. Like, how did you feel and where did you go? What did you do? What did you eat? Whatever tangible details came up for you, I want you to write them down. And that is what a soul-aligned day can feel like. And this will help you build that vision for becoming the soul-aligned mother that you dream of, and feeling that ease and feeling that connectedness to this most beautiful role we hold, but at the same time honoring who you still are inside and letting that reign supreme. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the recording. And if there's any questions you have about soul-aligned motherhood, please let me know. You can email me, DM me, whatever it is. If you're feeling called to it, I'd love to have you in that space. It's going to be great. And I'm really excited about the platform that is growing around this program. So thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day.